All right, here's some examples. They're asking us for each pair of these triangles to tell A, first of all, are they congruent? So you got to tell them yes or no. If they are yes, if it's no, you're done. If they are yes, then you got to write the congruency statement. That was from last unit, and be able to tell us why they're congruent. Now remember, from our examples, our notes just barely, there were 5 different ways that you could prove triangles are congruent. Let's see, where are we going to write these? Let's write them over here. So if we know side, 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 then we can say triangles are congruent. Also side, angle, side, angle, side, angle, 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 side, and hypotenuse leg. Okay, so those are the only 5 reasons that you would give on C. C has to be one of those 5 reasons right there. So when we're doing this, I actually try and find C first, because if I can find C, then I can say yes, and it's easy to write the congruency theorem. So notice right here, they've given me, the givens are a side right there and an angle. Okay, so we need to make sure to see if there's any other angles that we can get or any other sides that we can get from kind of just the picture, what's drawn right here. Now notice if you're looking at these big triangles, which is what they want to do because they gave you that angle right there. So if you're looking at that triangle and this triangle right up here, notice they share this bottom line. This MK right here is in both of the triangles. So the reflexive property says that it is congruent to itself. So I'm just going to put a little tick right there. Notice now I have a side, an angle, and a side. Also in this triangle I have a side, an angle, and a side. So these are indeed congruent by our side, angle, side theorem. Okay, so again, yes is the answer. And then you've got to write the congruence theorem. So notice you could call this first triangle. We're going to draw as many times as we can here. Anything you want. I'm just going to call it JMK. JMK. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to notice that J is the angle right here that touches my line with 1 tick. Okay, so I'm going to write that that's going to be congruent to L over here. M right here, see how I knew that that was congruent to this angle K right here, so I'll write K next. And then K is going to go to M. So that's my triangle congruence statement right there. All right, let's look at another one. Let's look at this next one over here. Notice again these 2 triangles. Here's a triangle. Here's a triangle. Notice that they share this line right there. The reflexive property says that that line is congruent to itself. So let's go ahead and do this one. Now, this one's a funny one because a lot of people see this nice, lovely right angle and think that this is the hypotenuse leg theorem. Problem is, a hypotenuse is always a side that's across from your right angle. It's this side over here, which we don't know. So they didn't really give us the hypotenuse. However, this one is still congruent because notice right angles, they're going to be congruent to each other. So right here, we could say we've got a side, an angle, and a side, which corresponds with this triangle, a side, an angle, and a side. So this one is also side, angle, side. We can say, yes, these are congruent triangles. Let's call this one ABC. ABC, so ABC. Now make sure, look at A is the one that's touching the 1 tick. So that's going to be our D over here. A, B. B is not the right angle, so we're going to go down here to D, or to C, and then back to B. So just look to kind of turn those triangles so that they look the same, and then you can write it. All right, next one. E is the midpoint of AB. Let's just stop right there. So if E is the midpoint of AB, remember midpoints mean that those segments are congruent right there. E is also the midpoint, so it's midpoint of AB, but it's also the midpoint of CD. So these 2 lovely segments are also congruent. So I've got a side and a side. I'm just looking for an angle. Now note these 2 angles are vertical angles, which we know are congruent. So another one, I put these all in order, another side, angle, side right there. But this is a, yes, these are congruent. I'm going to call it AEC, AEC, and AEC. Notice A is the one that touches the 1, so that's going to correspond with B. E is going to be E, and C right here touches the 2, which is D, so B, E, D. All right, last one on this on these examples right here. We've got two triangles. Notice we've got a side is congruent to a side, another side is congruent to another side. And look right there, that middle line, the reflexive property says it is also congruent to itself. So by the side, triangle congruence theorem, these are, yes, congruent. Let's call one of them ABC. Now A right here, notice A on my ABC, that's this angle. It's in between my 2 and my 3, my 2 ticks and my 3 ticks. So when I look down here between 2 and 3, I've got a C. So that's going to go first. B is between the 2 and the 1. So between the 2 and the 1 is D. And that leaves A as my other letter. And we're done with those examples.